Join me now for a conversation with the president of Lomiko Metals, Paul Gill. Lomiko Metals trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol LMR.V. Lomiko holds a portfolio of assets in the Americas, with a graphite project in Quebec, a lithium project in Chile, and gold in British Columbia. Paul, welcome back to the Ellis Martin Report.
Thanks, Ellis.
Your catchphrase on the Lomiko website is electric minerals and gold in the Americas.
Absolutely. We put together Lomiko for the specific purpose of looking at the new green economy and electric minerals, specifically as it relates to electric vehicles and, in fact, some of the new technology that's coming out and being patented that need rare earth metals, that need these new type of metals such as graphene and graphite. We think that's the growth story for the next 25 to 30 years.
I wasn't aware of the buzz in the market about graphite until a few weeks ago. What's going on?
Well, I think people are really catching on to the fact that this particular mineral has got a big, bright future, and specifically in relation to electric vehicles, they use graphite, at least 10 to 20 times as much graphite in an electric car battery as they do lithium. So everyone knows about lithium, everyone knows it's a substance that's required for electric vehicles, but no one seems to have caught on about the graphite. And that aspect of it, in addition to its use in various other batteries, in the purest form, of course, is very, very interesting. And I think now that not only has there been graphite as a big hit, but the next step up from there is graphene, which is an interesting substance. It's a two-dimensional allotrope of carbon, which is essentially carbon shaped into a chicken wire and laid out flat. And this particular substance has incredible properties. It's a superconductor at room temperature. It's very heat resistant, makes steel look wimpy. It's 200 times stronger than steel. Very interesting substance, and it has a lot of interesting uses.
So why aren't we using it for everything?
Well, right now it's about how to manufacture this stuff. It's only been invented or discovered in 2010. Two scientists in Europe actually discovered the properties of this particular substance. It hasn't been manufactured en masse as yet, but they did receive the Nobel Peace Prize for discovering a substance, which I think is utterly fascinating.
Paul, let's review the various uses for graphite, if you don't mind.
There's a number of different applications. Of course, everyone knows about hockey sticks and tennis rackets using graphite. It's in the steel industry as well, automotive parts, lubricants, which not everyone knows about. Even in the nuclear industry, there is pebble-bed reactors which require graphite for them to work properly. So there's a number of interesting applications, and who knows what the future will bring as well.
Well, the future is bringing graphene into play, evidently. I understand it's extremely thin and pliable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think already we've got people contacting us from Europe and other places indicating that there's 25 separate new patents coming out related to graphene itself. And that really got me going. If there is that many more products out there now that are being planned or maybe in the thought process, there's a lot more than that are being looked at. What's particularly interesting to me is the new concept of using graphene in a battery. If graphite is a good conductor, graphene is the best conductor. So its application along with lithium in a battery is utterly fascinating, and I think that's where a lot of the excitement around electric vehicles and graphite and lithium are going to come from.
Tell us about the Katmil's graphite project in one of the most minely-friendly jurisdictions in the world, Quebec.
Yeah, absolutely. We picked up the Katmil property in January of this year. January 5th, we made the announcement, and it's a 1,600-hectare property with previous drilling located on it in about a 300 to 400 meter area. That is particularly interesting to us because within that small location of 300 to 400 meter in a much larger property, they've been able to place 26 drill holes, 23 of which hit very good mineralization, and they specifically found graphite in location. The best intercept was 8% graphite over 28 meters. When you look at that kind of intercept, it compares well to some of the properties that are out there right now that have got much better valuations, such as Lac du Knife and others that are run by Focus Metals and Northern Graphite. which are both multiples compared to Lomiko. So we're not at the point where we can make assurances about the kind of mineralization there is at Quat Mill, but we certainly know that it started just like they did, with historical information, and all we need to do is get on the property and start exploring and drilling to prove up some of those previous intercepts.
So you were following the graphite story for a while, and you found a property at the beginning of the year to add to Lomiko's portfolio.
Yeah, we announced back in September and October that we were looking for a suite of minerals and metals. That included graphite, included additional lithium properties, the one we already have. It includes cobalt properties. And those are very interesting. Cobalt's not a easy substance to come by. And those kinds of properties, including silver and copper, of course, which are much more prevalent, are what I consider and what we consider electric minerals, minerals that are essential to the development of new technologies in the coming 20 to 25 years. And that's what, these junior companies all are looking to do, get involved in an industry and supplying an industry that's going to continue to grow for the next quarter century. And that's where we feel that valuation will increase for Lomiko and return on investment will happen for shareholders, is when we're involved in an industry that continues to grow and the demand for the minerals in that industry continue to grow.
You also have a lithium project in Chile.
Yeah, we have been looking for properties, and we do have one that we've purchased down there called the Agua de Caliente property in Chile. It's in the Atacama region, and it's particularly interesting to us because one of the major producers, SQM, which trades at $30 or $40 on the New York Stock Exchange, owns a portion of that same salt lake that we own mineral concessions on. So if they were to require that particular salt lake for development, we'd be right there having a front seat. That's kind of the philosophy around what we've been doing. We reach a certain stage of development, and then we're waiting for the big developers to move forward and be caught up with them, instead of just proceeding by ourselves and perhaps expending a lot of shareholders' money without having an end game in mind. We have an end game in mind with all these properties. We purchase them and we work them strategically to make sure that they get the best return on investment.
You're basically an exploration company with hopes to be a project generator and have these properties joint ventured down the road.
Absolutely. That's the main purpose of exploration, is to find something and then work to develop it with another group. One of the biggest things that I learned early on in junior mining exploration was that there's at least 10 companies that die on the vine before a mine is created. So you might have 10 companies that have optioned a property. All of those, for one reason or another, drop that property, and it's the 10th or 11th one that actually makes that mine happen. So we don't want to be number 9 or number 8. We want to be the one that still owns the property when things happen. And if you're going to be that one, you're going to have to be patient and play your cards at the right time. And that's what we're trying to do.
You're a polymetallic company. You're not just relying on the rare earth space for your success.
Yeah, absolutely. We picked up a gold property in British Columbia, and we're in a good spot there because it acts as a hedge for our company, because we're not just focused on the alternative energy or the new green economy, but we also have our gold property as a hedge. That property is, again, surrounded by the company China Minerals Mining on 3 sides. It has adjacent to it the Table Mountain Mine, a permitted gold mill, and we're in a good location there. We've just done exploration on that last year. We've found several areas of gold in soils, and we're going back perhaps to look at it again should the timing be right this summer. The other thing that we found on the property that was fascinating was a high area of anomalous zinc in soils, about 100 hectares across. So that's fascinating as well, because that's amenable to further exploration.
Gold and zinc may not be driving recent volume right now, though, Paul. It's been close to 1 million shares traded per day, which in this market is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's all about graphite and graphene. We're one of the first movers right now, and I think that what we have is a top 5 property. We paid a little bit more than most people would, and we know exactly where to look. It's not a huge area we have to look at. 300 by 400 meters that we're going to focus on, and within that area we've got a fair chance of finding the graphite in good numbers, and that's what is really exciting people now. It's done a tremendous amount of volume, and we're certainly happy to see large shareholders stepping in along the way. It bodes well for the future.
What is your share structure?
Right now, there is 65 million shares outstanding with 83 million fully diluted. The major shareholders include large institutions. The average trading price is about 10.5 cents. We've done quite a bit of volume, and we're setting ourselves up for an exploration campaign which will add value. So we feel we're in a good spot, and shareholders and investors, it hasn't gotten away on them, so there's still lots of opportunity for new shareholders as well.
You've had some success in your own history. You were with Norsemont Mining for a while.
Yeah, I was very blessed to be with a company that had a great history. It had a option on a property that Rio Tinto optioned to us in Peru called Constancia. That property was drilled at the time that copper was very hot, and we were hitting large intersections of copper. And as the copper price went up, we were looking at a share price that was doubling and tripling almost every 3 or 4 weeks. It started from 5 or 6 cents, ended up at about $4.50 at a final buyout price. And so the value of that buyout was $512 million, starting from a company that was $1 million in inception. That's a great accomplishment. Right now that property is being developed by Hudbay Minerals in Peru.
Well, Paul, it's been great catching up with you. Thanks for filling us in with regard to your company, Lomiko Metals.
Thanks, Ellis. It's always great to talk to you. Hope to see you soon.
I've been speaking with Paul Gill, the president of Lomiko Metals, on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol LMR.V. Find a link to Lomiko's website on the homepage of our website, ellismartinreport.com.